What's going on? I think I had to set my phone sideways so I could see if I could see the chat. I got my phone turned back on today. Hell, how am I sounding, y'all? I might have to try it again. Off the wall, corn pop, Laura, Kentucky, Jeremy, Stead, what's up? Patricia, Monty, Susanna, Monique, Jeremy. Uh, Mojo, what's going on with you? War Drums, OFC, what's up, brother? Or is that better? Like I'm glitching on my side, so I don't know if I'm coming across glitchy to you. Or like at least my picture keeps. It's got like a lag. Good, right on. All right, so I assume by the title that some of you guys, at least hopefully most of y'all, watched that last video I did the premiere the other day about the property, and I got some. I got like a lot of shit. This might be a long stream. I literally answered as many questions as I could, threw in some other things. All right, right on. Joe, what's going on? Like I said, I am. It appears for a minute. Oh yeah, Joe, I saw that. I'm gonna email you here back after a while. Like I said, so the chat only pops up when it, for a second or two. So if I miss it, I'll try to catch back up. So pretty much anybody who's in here now, uh, if you have any questions about go through, leave them in the actual comment section, or email them to me if it's something that I haven't addressed. Like I said, I'll start with the what's going on, D9 Rip. Like I said, these are just ideas thrown out there. Bug Dude, what's going on with you? If I was to do something, this is how I would do it. Like I said, take these ideas. You don't have to be a creator. You know, I've got things set up to where it's literally. All right, let's just go ahead and get into this. Me and a couple other creators were just kind of bullshitting around and throwing around the idea. And basically, I think what we've kind of came up with as like a starting point would be three people, three families on 5 acres. That way each person would have an acre, and then 2 acres would be dedicated field. Simple like that. One well in the community area. That way everybody's got access to water. It doesn't have to be something huge. This whole 200 acres, 100 families thing, this is large scale. This is basically like it's a subdivision, a city kind of concept. It does not have to be this big. So you got 3 people on 5 acres, 5 people on 10 acres. Get with other people who are interested in doing this kind of thing, and set it up your own kind of way. You don't have to wait for somebody to do it for you. You know what I mean? You guys can actually get out there and start doing the legwork. I'm just throwing out some ideas and some blueprints to kind of get your guys' brains working to see what you think you're capable of. One of those kind of things. I will say that the price of land has drastically gone up in Missouri over the last year. This time last year, it was pretty easy to find land. People are leaving the cities, and land is getting bought up ridiculously fast. The land that I'm finding now, the majority is roughly $1,400 an acre. So, you know, prices are going to keep going up. They ain't making no more land. So, you know, seriously interested in any kind of thing like this, sooner rather than later would save you a shit ton of money. Just saying. Let's see what we got. All right. So for the questions and concerns that we had in the comments and stuff from the last one, there was a good one from Plumber about the grade of the land. And in that, it's taken account, if anybody goes back or remembers how I had that set up, there was roughly 70 acres that were not touched in any kind of way. Leslie, farmer's son, what's going on? So the concern was you got to take into account the rough terrain, especially here in the Ozarks. You're in the mountains, so you're going to get a lot of, you know, terrain that's like this that's not usable. See, all that would be accounted into the wild land, you know, the stuff that's left wild for trails and stuff. That way, you always got to have those backups. Assume you're gonna, you know, assume you're gonna spend more than you actually are. That way, anything left over is a bonus. You know, one of those kind of things. But yeah, the land grade and all that stuff is taken into account with the leftover acreage. Uh, Rough areas, you know, the steep grades can be used for orchards and things like that. So that was a good point. Yes, all those things are included in there. A lot of people were concerned about how the ownership and the government system would be set up inside of there. Somebody in the chat pretty much said it dead on. It's basically set up exactly like an MC, you know, a motorcycle club. And under the club rules, no one person owns the land. It's basically an LLC. Eventually, you can get to a point to where you're a 501c status, to where you can be a charity and you don't have to pay property tax and things like this. But that's, you know, future concerns. But the basic structure of a club is everybody, to be recognized as a club, you have to a membership fee, and you have to have dues, and then you have to do so much charity per year to make yourself, you know, an official club. So the entry fee, you know, the 5,000, if that's what it is, or the 2,000, however it works out, would be your, you know, initiation fee. And then your dues would be, say, if you're just starting off, realistically, it's not going to happen overnight. You know, even if everybody moved there on day one, it would still take at least a year or two before you're even close to making profit, because you got to get everything done. So if you have it situated to where your dues were, say you take the for that property from the last year, and then you just divide it up by however many families are in that on that property. Simple, easy, done deal. Those are your dues. Technically keeps you as a club status. So that way, not one person owns it. It will be set up the same kind of system as a president, a vice president, a treasurer, secretary. You know all that good stuff. That's why I was saying roughly 5 people on the city council. That way, everything can be set up and organized like that. Elections, just like everything else. So, if anybody wants to look into that, the legality of a club, that's pretty much what the government structure would be, is a club type structure. So like, I went crazy with the notes, y'all. So I got, no one person would own the land, but the club would. The power structure, government, president, vice president, you know, that'd be the council. The club would have laws and bylaws just like a car club or any official club, and there will be you know, a set guideline, like, hey, this is you know, what you signed into. There's no arguing, there's no disputing. So if it ever comes down to it, you've got the legal backing if you have to kick somebody off. But for the most part, if things remain civil, then it's just a simple, you know, you can have your own hearings, your own trials, your own votes, and establish things like that. If you're coming into this community, if you buy into the community, then you automatically accept the fact that there will be voting, and you have the potential to get kicked out if you break the guidelines or the bylaws in any kind of way. Now, obviously, that can be tweaked down and made simple. I've got stuff like that. I've been in many clubs that have the exact same kind of thing. So, all that stuff can be fine tuned. It's doable because literally thousands of clubs do it every single day. So, that would be the government structure. Because I know a lot of you guys were like, some of these people are God-based communities and same guidelines, same kind of concept on a different wavelength. Let's see. We had a couple people asking about the legality of having too many people on one piece of property, and all the stuff that would go into that, the permits, and all this stuff. Basically, you have to check your state, and then even more than that, you have to check each county. The majority of the counties here in Missouri are pretty much, you only need a septic tank. That's an actual official septic tank. That's literally the only restrictions some people have in the counties. So Missouri is the shit when it comes to homesteading, because it is extremely homesteader friendly state. Like exact where I'm at here, we have literally no zoning, no restrictions, no nothing. All I have is property tax once a year, but I can, as long as I don't break any federal laws, I literally have nobody to answer to on anything that I do out here. So Missouri is good for that. So that is not a concern. Uh, you figure if you're establishing a club, then technically you're not a full-time resident. You want to think of this kind of community more as a lifetime campground kind of situation, if that makes any kind of sense. I'll get into that deeper in a minute, but if you basically set up cabins or anything like that, then you're technically, you can just say you're a campground. There's all kinds of loopholes and legalities that you can get away with if you just fine tune things. So it is doable. It's extremely doable, especially in Missouri. Yeah, we'll get to the. I just seen the spigots and all that stuff. I got that down too. Okay. Right on. All right. A lot of people were complaining about the land size. I was figuring roughly a quarter acre per family. You know, so it's like, hey, if you say it's 5,000, if you put in your 5,000 bucks, then boom, you're guaranteed this quarter acre until you died, unless break bylaws, get kicked out, blah blah. But you're basically buying a raw quarter acre of land. A lot of people are saying that's not enough land, all this other stuff. Technically, it is. You figure if we're going off a 200 person community or a 200 family community, then you're basically it literally is a small town. It's a small city, so you're not going to have the seclusion. You're not going to have rolling estates in this kind of community. That's not what it's for. That's Go somewhere else for that shit, or get a smaller community. If you want bigger land, get a smaller community. It's an option. I'm just saying, for this instance, a quarter acre seems about right. A quarter acre is what, 105 foot by 105 foot square. So everybody, I challenge every single one of y'all. It's roughly 30 steps. Average step is 3 foot, somewhere in that range. So if you just go to steps, if you got a 100-foot tape measure, take get out there and actually put some corner posts in and actually imagine how big 105 by 105 square is. That way you can actually see the size of land and the opportunities that you can do on these lands. Now, I understand what a lot of people are saying. I would like more land myself, for the seclusion and all that. But like I said, this is a city type situation, so you can't hide from the social aspect of it. You're going to have to people no matter what. That's just the way it's going to have to be. Um, but in some of the leftover untouched acreage that was accounted for in the end, with the way you lay things out and the way you kind of leave wild spots for landscaping, you could have that separation between each area, and you won't be completely secluded, but you won't feel like you're on top of somebody. That's what I'm saying. So, like, for real, go out and measure out 100 foot, and then a quarter acre is 100 foot by 100 foot. Just say that, and then you'll get a good concept of what you can do. There is a guy, urban farmer Curtis Stone, I think that's his name. Check him out, and you can get a damn good picture of what you can do on a quarter of an acre. Um, the tiny house that we're in is 32 foot long. It's 12 by 32. We've been in it for years. At one point, we had 3 people in here. It works fine. So imagine 3 of these long ways would be, saying, because I know a lot of people can't visualize it without actually physically seeing the space. So, a quarter acre is extremely doable, especially if you're building it's basically a village. You know what I mean? So, a quarter acre is a pretty damn big yard. Most of y'all in the city probably, that's pretty much what you have now with your house and your yard, is roughly a quarter to a half an acre. So, especially if you're coming from an apartment, that's, you might as well say 11,000 square foot. So imagine you're paying $5,000 for 11,000 square foot of raw land. Okay. All right. So I think I over-explained the shit out of that. But imagine you've got this community. So you've already got the farms. You've already got the pastures for the critters. You've already got the shower houses set up, a community bathroom kind of situation, a community dining hall. If you don't have to have all this stuff in your yard to begin with, the farm and the critters, you don't need that. This is literally your yard. That's all you're doing is buying a yard, and everything else is communal. That's all this is full-blown communal living, and you get your guaranteed little leave me alone space. That's pretty much all it is. So, hope that made sense. What else we got here? I was figuring something like this could be, if you did it to where a hillbilly, what's going on? Dragonfly, firefly. Yeah, blacksmiths and gunsmith shops will definitely be an option. They said, okay, where are we at here? Tiny houses are single wide only, somewhere in that range. That way, if somebody ever does get kicked off the property, then they forfeit their membership fee. But a single wide trailer, then that is still accessible to where, hey, you get kicked out, you got 30 days, take your house and beat feet. You know what I mean? That way it's whatever you invest in your actual home where you sleep, if you're there full time or however it works, you can take it somewhere else. That way it's it's easy to clean up after somebody if they have to leave and they're not really losing anything. One of those kind of deals. So as long as you got some act right and you follow the rules, you can literally live there until you die. One of those kind of things. If you mess up, then we just hook a tractor to your house and pull it up front and tell you got 30 days to come and get it, and then find somebody else to fill that spot. like how the chat disappears. Community graveyard, yeah, that's a possibility. Hey, I'd work in a bakery, Leslie. So if that makes any kind of sense, I've got a premiere coming out. I don't know when. I got it set for some time. Stars, what's going on? And it's basically 20 minutes of me walking around a lot, looking at different kinds of tiny houses, so you guys can get a concept of that kind of thing. That way you can, implement some imagination. It's basically each member would contribute in some kind of way to stay in compliance with club standards. That's the way it is in any club. Just like paying your property tax would basically equal your dues. You know, say you got 30 people living on a piece of property and your property tax is $400, so $400 split between 30 people. It's a couple bucks. Uh, so you will have a job. See, it can be set up in different kinds of ways. You can have it set up to where people do live there full time. And basically, if you live there full time, then you have to have some kind of job. It doesn't have to be a backbreaking, this is what I do for everything. No trailers, I built tiny house. Mojo, hell yeah. Ark Wild, man, what's going on? Yeah, Dragonfly, I hear you on that one. I went squirrel, y'all. Oh, saying it doesn't have to be set up to where it's all permanent housing. A lot of people could use this. Say you live in New York or Wyoming or wherever, and then you invest that $5,000 to be a member of this club, then that guarantees you basically a raw camping spot for the rest of your life. So even if you don't want to live there full time, did I freeze? Ah. Am I frozen? I cannot see. If y'all can hear me 1 second, my phone is frozen on this side. Sorry, y'all. My bad. My phone froze up on me. All right. So, where I left off was you don't have to be a full time resident. Imagine if you live in New York, Wyoming, blah, 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 blah. If you just want a place to be able to, Alicia, what's going on? Take a vacation 4 times a year, load up the family, drive down, spend as much time as you want on your property, go back home, et cetera, et cetera. If you have to bug out, shit hits fan situation, you've got a place to go. It's one of those kind of situations. Those that do want to live there full time, not an issue. Things can be set up. If you're thinking like mail or something, PO boxes can be set up. A community. Yeah, Kentucky. Yeah, if y'all want to live with me, we smoking. Yeah, plain and simple. A community mail collection kind of thing. It's however it works. All these little things can be fine tuned. The trash collection, like I said, each person who lives on this property will have a job. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a backbreaking job. So let's say myself made in backwoods lived on this property. be like milkmaid's job would literally be you milk the cows every morning, bring the milk back to wherever we're storing it, done. You got the rest of you know, that's your job. Easy peasy. Backwoods would be like, hey, you general area, you know, once or twice a week, boom, you're done. You know, like me and tribe, we'd be like, you know, one person's in the garden, you got to do this. You know, one person's in the field. You know, it's simple like that. It doesn't have to be. It's not a lot of backbreaking work. If you ever look at any kind of Amish community, you can see, you know, 50 men can carry a barn. You know, so it's the same kind of concept. If you're needed as a community member to get something done, you basically step up. That's pretty much the kind of system it's going to be. You have to, you know, everybody's working for the same goal. One of those kind of things. So like trash collection would be one of those things. If you wanted to up the dues a little bit, then you could literally get 2 dumpsters put out front of the property to where whoever mows the yard does that. Like as soon as you mow, you pick up the trash once a week, and then you take it up front and you throw it in the dumpster. You just add the price of dumpster into the dues. Everybody splits it evenly. Boom, problem solved. You know, that takes care of that. Hopefully people will, you know, get it figured out to where if we start recycling, then the cardboard can go in a certain section. You know, glass can even go in a certain section because you can recycle that in big enough, you know, amounts. You know, all these different could be pretty good. As far as the water goes, a system like this would basically be a community well set up to where each person does not have to have water, you know, on their property. Like I said, it's just going to be a 1/4 acre raw land. You put your tiny house there, whatever. But if you set up some kind of system to where there's a shower house with maybe 15, 20 showers, there's a toilet with maybe 10 or 15 toilets that everybody can share. That way you don't have to have running water in your house, you know, plumbed and all that good shit. Each person can set up a water tower or something like that in their own yard. That way they've got, you know, dishwater or hands, you know, something simple like that to where you don't have to have all the plumbing. You know, if you don't want to have a bathroom and a laundry room and all that shit in your house or on your property, then there's a community one, you know, say a laundromat would be another thing. And then it could be as simple as, you know, each person has like a 300-gallon storage tank. I got a whole bunch of mine for, you know, 50 bucks, around 50 bucks. So you imagine a water tower with 350 gallons for each lot, and then whoever does the mowing and the trash collection can and go around and fill up everybody's water tank once a week, once a month, however it works. The same thing with a fire department type situation. You could have a pump truck where you can have random spigots put there to where, you know, things can be controlled. You figure if it is a tiny house community, then you really need, you know, huge fire trucks and all this shit because it can pretty much be handled in-house, one of those kind of things. Yeah, in the wintertime, they walk to the in the toilet would be a cold son of a bitch. But hey, that's why it would be each person. You know, you're guaranteed this access, but if you want to improve your own situation in your own little spot, then you are free to do so in any kind of way that you choose. You know, one of those kind of things. That way, it's still open, but it gives people options. You know, because I know a lot of people that I watch are, you know, there's a lot of single people, or you know, that watch me are 20s, 30s, 40s single people, you know, and then you basically every age group up to 80, and there's single people in all of these. So if, you know, a single person by themselves, whether it's a 20-year-old dude or a 60-year-old woman, if you get a tiny house and just tuck it back on your own little 1/4 acre, you're pretty much set for life. You've got, you know, you've got the ability to set up your own little shower and do all this other stuff. Obviously, if you've got kids, it's going to be a little bit more of a hassle, you know. And the good thing about the community is, as long as you've got the materials, then you're pretty much distance to get yourself set up uh, without, you know, free of charge. People around the community will help you. Yeah, exactly, Mojo. Yeah, that way you don't have to have a trash pile. Okay, so that takes care of that. The water situation, that made any kind of sense. Like I said, each community will be different. You know, this is what we're talking about now is a hypothetical. 200 acres, 200 people. It wouldn't really be 200 acres, especially with the price. It'd be more like 140, 150 acres for 100 people, somewhere in that range. Or, you know, it doesn't have to be 100 people. It's just, you know, use your imagination, people. But, you know, there would be a difference between a big community and a small community. Like I said, if if you did a small community with three different families on 5 acres, each person gets an acre apiece, you know, it'd be easier to run, you know, lines from a community well to each place. Like, boom, you get one line, make it work, one of those kind of things. That would be a lot easier, obviously. So you've got works with 5 people, 20 people, you know, figure it out. A couple people asked basically if it's a club status, that means that the club itself is private property. Nobody is allowed on that property unless they are a member or personally invited. So if it ever comes to a situation to where, you know, basically have a gate, you have to have a gated community. But if you ever had a situation to where, I mean, flat out, if the police ever came knocking, looking for somebody, wanted to question something, you know, then it will be handled by the higher ups. And like, unless you got a warrant, you got no reason to be there unless you can show me the paperwork. You know, fuck off. Like I said, each community would be different on their temperament on how they would let, but it does give you the option of no, this is a private club, no entry. I don't give two fucks who you are. We ain't got to tell you nothing. You know, so that's out there too for anybody who's interested in that kind of question. Uh, Let's see. And when it comes to the profits made by the club, like say, if like something like this, it would take years to start being able to actually make physical profits from anything that you're doing, you know, to make an impact. So basically, if you could get to that point, then mm, I don't know if I want to talk about this yet or not. Basically, in a nutshell, if you get to the point where you're making profit, the money made throughout the year, you know, all that good stuff. Once you've paid your bills, if you can if you can pay all of your expenses, that's electric, water, maintenance, the property tax, all that good shit, and still have 5% or higher left over, then you can make it somewhere in that range to where nobody ever has to pay dues again because the profit literally pays for everything. So if you can get one of those kind of situations, you know, I've got that, but that's, you know, that's a long way. You know, that would take some work to person, you know, no longer has to pay dues and that kind of thing because, you know, the work takes care of it. Like I said, to be a club, you have to do so many hours of charity. You know, that's Toys for Tots, throwing a barbecue for veterans, you know, Angel Tree, stuff that most of you guys already do anyway, just on a bigger scale. See, you've got the option to where each lot can be custom for an extra fee. Like if you want extra amenities, you can throw in a little bit more. So say it's at the $5,000 range. So say it's $5,000 for 2 people. Boom, flat done. That's what it is. Now you can keep that idea, or you can add to it a little bit and say, okay, it's 5,000 for the initial 2, but if you've got like 3 or 4 kids, then it's like $1,000 per kid. You know, something along those lines to help offset the cost. You know, that's just a thought. But you can, so for the person who says, you know, a quarter acre is not enough, like, okay, that's fine. If you want to throw in another $5,000 and have yourself a half acre, you've got that option. If you want to throw in an extra like $2,000 or $3,000 and get your quarter acre, you know, fenced with chain link fencing or something like that, then that, you know, there's options on all that kind of stuff. You know, everything can be played with and adjusted. Gmall Merkel, what do you mean? It'd be police and fire. I already did the fire thing. You know, pump truck or places set like that. The police, just like in any, there will be enforcers, and it's basically, you know, it's the same kind of system. If you get out of line, if you have to be detained, you know, if you start acting stupid and irrational, you know, you can be detained, you can be escorted off the property, you know, all these other things. So a police force will technically be involved in that. So that doesn't cover taxes or land improvement. I have no idea what you're talking about, Gmo Merkel. Here in Missouri, shit's cheap. Taxes are really not that much. Yeah, Gmo Merkel, you're up in the West Coast though, and that $11,000 for a septic tank. That's, see, you can't look at these commercial prices and go off of this shit, because the same tank that they would have charged us a couple years ago, we did a septic tank down the road. It cost this man, the septic tank itself was, renting the tractor was $400, and then paying us to put it in the gravel, it came up to less than, I think it was like $2,300 is all he spent to put in a septic tank, when the same people were going to charge him $9,000 to do that. So if you got the people that are going to do the work, don't look at those prices, because that's, you know, and each state is way different. They don't rape you on property tax. It'd be Appalachia, it'd be Missouri. Like I said, this can work in any state though. It doesn't have to be Missouri. It doesn't have to be this idea. This is just to throw it out there. You know, you can buy. I was just looking this morning. You can get 200-300 acres in Nevada for you know, right around $1,000. You know, you start, anybody take this idea and run with it. Just start these communities anywhere. I'm just, you know, I'm just giving y'all blueprints. Let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, rabbit. Okay, so that's pretty much, man, that's all I want to go into on that right now. Said, hopefully that answered some of y'all's questions. Said, if you have any other questions, ideas, suggestions, blah blah blah, put them in the actual comment section. As soon as I get my my hotspot turned back on, I'm gonna have a live and some guests, and we'll just brainstorm all this crazy shit and go over it. I just want you guys to start thinking, use your imaginations, and start you know, think outside the box. It's just because people tell you it can't be done, or that this is going to be too expensive, or that this will never work. Fuck that. Keep looking. There's always a way to do something. You know, the price that they tell you is not always the price that you have to pay, especially when you've got the back to do your own damn work. Okay. I was looking at, here's an example of something that could be doable. I was looking this morning at a piece of land here in Missouri. I had a couple people email me and ask me whereabouts. I was thinking basically the entire state of Missouri is open, just like Texas, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico. All these places have giant chunks of land, and if you got 10 or 15 families, you can actually make something out of it if you're actually willing to do the work. But from that question, I went ahead and did some looking. So let's say Lincoln, Missouri, that is 10 miles from Sedalia, 10 or 15 miles from Warsaw, a giant tourist town. Lakes, that's basically the start of all the big lakes. So you're literally a 15-minute drive from a giant lake, lots of giant lakes. And then if you go the other way to Sedalia, that gives you, I think there might be 60, 70,000 people in Sedalia, but that gives you shopping, that gives you, some people are going to be on disability and SSI, so they don't need to work. They've got that guaranteed income. All they got to do is just kick it around the property. Younger folks that still want to do stuff, go get a job at McDonald's, Walmart. It's an actual town, so you've got possibilities. You've got factories, you've got law firms, you've got choices to where if you actually want to still go out and do a job to make money, then you can still do that. And but basically, it's 43.71 acres for 88,000. So if you figure in a little bit of wiggle room plus closing costs and all that shit, it kind of keeps you in a reference point there. But if you do half-acre lots, see, now this is 50 different families. It seems like a lot, but I can go out and measure out the 100 by 100 and see what it is. So 50 people at 5,000 a piece. That gives you $250,000. Blah blah blah. So you got 43 acres for 88,000. If you do half-acre lots, that's 12.5 acres just in housing. Now, if you add a couple acres to that, that way you can leave wild swatches between each plot. Then you can kind of jump that up to 15 acres. That way, a lot of that is wooded and all that other stuff, and you can still have I've got 3 acres. I know what I can do on 3 acres. It's a lot of freaking land. So anybody who tells me it's too small, no, I've literally, no, it's not. But you can have the shower house, and all that stuff on 3 acres. So you're looking at 15 acres from that 31 acres to be community areas. That's your shop, all that other shit. So it is doable. I've got all this stuff down here. I figure you got, the way I've got it set up, this was just a quick thing I did this morning. You can do 10 pigs on a half an acre, especially if you set it up to where you've got a husbandry system going on. If you get 2 males and 5 or 6 females, and you keep them in a designated area, and then you just keep butchering the piglets as they come. That'll secure you on pork. The same thing with cows. I think I've got 15 acres for cows. It's basically 1 or 2 milk cows, because you can get have to hit Milkmaid up and check out the actual numbers. But you can get 1 to 7 gallons per milk from a cow. So you figure if it's somebody's job to milk the cow every day, it won't take but a month or so to get every household a gallon of milk, and it's constant supply, or however that so people will have milk. Now if you do 1 bull or 2 bulls, that way you can do 3 or 4 heifers for that breeding stock, and then just do like a once or twice a year butcher, things like that. You figure it out somewhere in that range. But that still gives you enough land to do a rotation on the fields. That way you can still have Ark whoop ass, what's going on? Oh, and squirrel. My bad. But it's doable. That's enough egg to switch it to where if you want to rotate fields, that way this field can grow for 2 or 3 months. You can switch them back and forth. You've still got the option to do so. Let's see. You can fit, technically, you could fit over 1,000 chickens on a half an acre if you're figuring roughly, chickens about 1 pound a piece, somewhere in that range. You know, that's a hell of a chicken supply. Plus, you've got the eggs. If you're hatching the eggs, then you can keep bouncing back. Because not everybody needs to be supplied at one time. Each person gets a certain amount, and then everybody gets caught up, and then from then on, it's just playing stock up pretty much. But you figure if you get 500 to 800 chickens on a half an acre, that gives you plenty of poultry to work, and then you can also do turkeys and things like that. Let's see, rabbits is pretty much the same thing. If you do a half acre of rabbits, you might not even need that much. You know, that throws in. It says the average says 1 acre of corn feeds 16 people for an average. So not that many people actually, go into corn that deep. So you figure I've got it on here. Let me see what I got. I think I got 5 acres of corn, somewhere along that range, and then you can also have an extra 2 acres of feeder corn or something like that as a supplement for cows over the wintertime. That way you've got that backup for the feed. So especially if you're doing, if you butcher right in the fall, then you don't have to worry about feeding so many cows over the winter. Same thing like that. I said an acre of potatoes will produce about 10,000 pounds of potatoes in a year, more than enough. Uh, let's see, a half acre of beans, whether it's soybeans or green beans, doesn't matter. So the average person eats 7 pounds of beans per year. On a half acre or on a full acre, you can get 250 bushels per acre. Each bushel is for green beans, it's 24 pounds per bushel. Soybeans is 60 pounds per bushel. So you're looking at potentially 12,000 pounds of beans per year. That's a lot of beans. So the crops, it's all very doable with the layout. Then I got 1 acre of greenhouses and compost pile, stuff like that. You figure if you get a whole bunch of greenhouses and you do raised beds and all that other stuff, that's when you can get your onions, your tomatoes, your carrots, your peppers, all that other shit can be done on that 1 acre. It's all extremely doable. So I've got raise it up for 1 acre for pigs, five permanent pigs, and see after all of that stuff, that still leaves roughly 6 acres to play with that is undesignated. That could be for shops, for landscaping, for literally anything you want. It's all very doable with a little bit of imagination and a limited number of people, or a maximum number of people that can all work out. Like I said, everybody go out and do. Quarter acre is 104 by 104 technically. So map out, set corner posts and stuff so you can see how much space there is, and actually use your imagination. Be like, okay, what can I do with this? It'd be somewhere along that line. Like I said, you can have bigger spots, but the price would have to go up. Things would have to be reconfigured. It'd be easier on a smaller scale to have bigger spots, but each person needs to figure that out in their own community. I've got it set up almost like basically like an MC, because the simple fact that something like this, if you have a minimum number of members, a minimum amount of land, say you got 3 people, 3 families with a minimum of 5 acres, you could technically be part of this club. So you would have the same protections and the same benefits no matter where you are, and everybody would be under one umbrella. And that would also give you a supply line. So, say you got somebody in Florida who's growing sugar cane and oranges and, you know, small things, chickens or something, but they can't produce, they don't have the room for corn or beef or anything like that. If you're in the same club but a different chapter, each property would be a different chapter. You could set those supply lines to where, okay, like all I have to do here is grow, oranges and sugar cane, because I know I can trade what I need with this other chapter for the beef or the corn that I need, and literally set up a nationwide kind of system to where if it gets to a point to where it is big enough, like I said, it doesn't have to be this giant two. It doesn't have to be that at all. It could be, as like I said, 3 families on 5 acres. Hell, 1,000 of those spread out through the country. Each person could focus on, okay, we're doing nothing but cows here. We're doing nothing but corn here. These people can trade with each other. Figure out their own supply lines and all this other shit. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, I know I started crazy big with the 200 acres, but that was just so people could see the potential of what something could be. Realistically, like I said, me and a few other creators were talking about doing this on a very small scale, somewhere in the 5 to 10 acre range, and doing it like that. That way, we do have more land, more privacy, and we don't have as much of an obligation to too many people. Independent mini. See, that's the thing. He says, would it be 5,000 per person or adult or per family? It would be to set it up. Like I said, all this is just thrown out there to get people get the wheels turning. But if you did 5,000 for 2 people, for the 2 adults in the family. So if you're a single person, it doesn't matter. If you're a man and a wife, it doesn't matter. It's $5,000. But if you've got 2 kids, and so you add on an extra 1,000 per kid or something like that. Like I said, it's not set in stone. That's just something that popped in my head earlier as an option. You know, Todd Hendricks, yeah. And see, it can all be set to a lower standard too, as long as everybody coming in knows, like, this is not a Beverly Hills cul-de-sac. You're not getting sprawling estates and big fancy modular homes and all this other shit. You're getting a designated amount of land to do what you got to do. If some people want to live that van life or an RV, boom, they've got a place to park their camper, and they can literally just live out of their camper and do all that other shit and be good for the rest of their life. You want to throw a tiny house on there, boom, you're good. Say you got a single guy that's, an old guy that's, fuck it, I just want to live out in the woods. You can dig a hole and throw a fucking tarp over it for all I give a shit. You know what I mean? Live how you want to live out there in that kind of situation. Like I said, each layout would be different. So even though it will be a village type feel, you can have things spread out and facing different ways. There are ways to make it seem like you're still out in, you can have your seclusion to a certain extent. You know what I mean? But like, if you're signing up for a community like this, you know that automatically you're in a village setting, and it's gonna be rough and a lot of work to see any kind of gains from from what you're actually doing. So you can't just come into it like, here's my $5,000, and okay, now I'm ready to move in. It doesn't work that way. You're gonna have to put in a little bit of work. One of those kind of things. So you need to be aware of the situation. Like, say, if it does come to a certain point, say if you want to lower the money amount, lower the person amount, or not enough people buy into it at first, you're gonna have to figure, at a bare minimum, if you start with the bare minimum, no matter what, like, we want the land and we want a well. If you can start from that point, then that's pretty much the way to start planning. You guarantee that water and you guarantee each person their space, and then you go from there. So, you know, like I said, it doesn't have to be me, y'all. Like, I would not want to live in that community because that's way too many damn people. But I would have a spot and I would come kick it every once in a while, and I would, I'd come and do the work. That's how I would see it. It would not be my permanent, all time home, one of those kind of situations, but I would be there a lot. If you know what I mean? That makes sense. So it gives you the option. You're not tied down. You can leave whenever you want to. It's pure freedom, simple guidelines to where it's basic English. You know, you pay this, you get this, and you have access to this. Plain and simple. It's a simple concept. People try to overcomplicate it. Like I said, if you get the clubs, you don't need all the lawyers, and you don't have to worry about losing friends over money and property because like an LLC technically owns the property, and the LLC is ran by the five people in the council, but nothing can be done without a vote. So it's pure freedom, pure democracy. So I think I'm done rambling for a second. If y'all have any questions, go ahead and drop them. Yeah, Gmo Merkel, I hear you. That's why Missouri's the shit. What?
I was just seeing if he's talking to yourself.
So yeah, y'all can't be putting those West Coast prices and those fucking New York prices on Missouri. This is Missouri, goddammit. We're free out here. So I'm saying you got to do your homework on your states and your counties. Yeah, Chantilly lace. That's what I'm figuring. As long as you've got the water to start with, then you're pretty much at a good point. Hoot out, what's going on? Yeah, I'm real today, man. I got my phone turned back on earlier today. We got surprised by an opportunity. Joe Morgan, I hear you, man. See, Idaho's a good one too. But it all comes down to, see, that's where each place would be different, is because the price of land would be redonkulous in some of these spots. See, eventually you can get to a point like, see, like now we're on the hypotheticals of the long-term investment, but you can get a root cellar, you know, or you can just get a couple rednecks with some bobcats and some backhoes to dig you a fucking root cellar, pour some concrete, do all that stuff, and make you an underground root cellar that's big enough to act as a nuclear fallout place, or a cold storage. That way, each person's pretty much guaranteed a certain amount of food. And see, that would be another thing too, is based on the averages and the people in each household, and how long you live. Like if you're a full time uh, root cellar finished today, hell yeah. You can have it set up to where before the profit is made, to a certain extent, you can give like each household or each person that is like here's 6 months worth of food. You know, you can make your own root cellar on your own property, store it however you want to. All these different things. Who? Yeah, that's what I'm waiting on, man. I say I got 90 days, so I should be good. Damn, Jeremy Sullivan, hell yeah. Y'all look at Jeremy Sullivan's post. South Alabama, 160 acres for 248. Already has 5 septics, 5 wells, and a pond. See, look at that. That right there would be the shit. That's perfect opportunity. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a creator. I only said throw it out to the creators. That way they can put the idea out there. You know, you guys in the chat can get together and set shit up like this too. You know, but if you want something like we're talking about, a giant piece of land, then you know, gee, we can make it happen. You know, like I said, I've got a few people that I'm already talking to. Scale, and you know, the possibilities are endless, guys. Oh yeah, Emo Merkel. Heartland, what's up, brother? Yeah, see, he said it has a whole book on rainwater catchment. Hell yeah. See, all these things, Missouri allows for things like this. If you find them homesteader friendly states, then you can implement this shit pretty easy. You know, each person system, their own water tower, however they want to do it. You know, it's just so many options. Let's see. So Tennessee's not so bad. I guess depends on the county you're in. Yeah. Hell yeah, shift. That's the way to do it. Cause see, that's gonna be Doc Mac. What's going on with you, brother? See, the hard part would be actually getting, like, I know a few people that are already down to move to the Ozarks, so that makes it a little bit easier to. Off the wall prepper. Look at that. No squirrel again. I know a few people who are already down to move to the Ozarks, so that makes it easier to kind of try to set something up. So, you know, if anybody is in, start getting a hold of us, some of us Ozark boys, and you know, we can brainstorm. You know, throw your ideas out there. Like this is like I can accept this. I will not do this. You know, let people know what kind of concepts are out there. You know, like I said, it doesn't have to be me. Hell, there's 43 in the chat right now. You know, if 10 of y'all got together and did this, boom, easy. You know, if 10 people from you figure if every creator that has at least 1,000 subs has 10 people that are like, fuck it, let's throw in 2,000 or let's throw in 5,000 and do this. That's, you know, y'all could literally change the course of your lives and potentially this country. Alan, you're over in the UK, huh? See, like I was looking, the place I was looking this morning was landwatch.com. If you guys want to look in your area, or say, like if you look in West Texas, if you look in Northern Nevada, yeah, I hear you, Joe. See, like I'm saying, y'all get out there and make this happen. You know what I mean? What's going on, Milkmaid? Yeah, I got my phone turned back on today. Yeah, I'm live. Firefly, hell yeah. You give me a bobcat and get it hell out of my way, I'll be on that damn thing for 16 hours. Dragonfly, that could play a part. I'm not a big fan of background checks. Like I said, the only thing, like, I don't care if you're a murderer, I don't care if you robbed 10,000 banks. You know, that's sex crimes are the only thing that I'm concerned about. Like I say, each place can be different. Sure, you do, Milkmaid. See, like, in the early aughts, I went to Votech school to be a plumber. So I'm a certified apprentice pipe fitter. I'm not an official plumber because I couldn't be nobody's bitch for 5 years. So I know how to do stuff like that, you know, and that's all it takes is some people to know a few things, you know. It doesn't take a whole lot. Like y'all already know, if I'm living on the land with you, I'm gonna be in the greenhouse, plain and simple. I'm growing shit. You know, each person has their own little thing that they can add. Even if you know you got no legs, you're in a wheelchair, it doesn't matter. You can still you've got something to contribute, whether it's watching babies or you know. Yeah, shift. I hear you on that one. Yeah, there's so many things that can be done. Pilgrim, what's going on, brother? Yeah, even if you you know, think of the crazy shit, the outside of the box shit. You know, like I said, Urban Gardener Curtis. I can't fucking remember it. I'll put it in the comment section as soon as I get off here. I can't remember his name, but you know, he can do a lot on a quarter acre. Alan, you talking about I don't. You talking about if somebody got the shot? I don't care if y'all got the shot. It don't make a shit to me. Yeah. Drugs are bad and good. Yeah, all that stuff would have to be, you know, all that it would be in the basic guide laws or guidelines, however that works, you know. Milkmaid, if you're still in here ear hustling, how many gallons of milk do you get per day from a cow? I was gonna message you after a while anyway, so I'll just do it now while I'm here. So like I said, if you guys have any questions or anything like would like to add, put it in the actual comment section or email me if you like if you're serious. Like because I'm literally in talks right now of actually doing something like this on a small scale. So if anybody is down to try, let's fucking do it. Carries, come on now, you know, religion, race, or anything else, none of that shit matters. See, yeah, 1 to 3 Avalanche, yeah. I'm not a. I don't like goat milk though. I know it's weird. It's like me with brown eggs. I just don't know. Some things I'm. It's just. Eh. Hold on, y'all. Let me play with some buttons. Carries, hell yeah. See, that's it. That's where it's gonna. The actual price is gonna come down to. See, I've got like just ideas for different prices because I know. Yeah, 2000. Most people, 2000 is gonna be difficult to come across. At least the people that I know, 2000 is a lot of fucking money, let alone 5,000. So it's one of those things to where it would be a max of 5,000 somewhere in that range, but maybe we'll see. It's tricky. It depends on how much interest there is. So say you get all right. So say I was to do this, if I had 10 people email me and say, "Hey, I've got $2,000. I'm down 100%. Let's do this." Then I know that's the set amount of money that I've got to work with. You know what I mean? That way, because it's basically you can't really buy the land unless you've got funding up front and investors and all that shit. You can't really buy the land until you know who's actually down, because cash in your hand makes a hell of a difference when you're going to buy property. So as long as you know what you've already got, 30 grand for 10 acres. And see, that's the concept. That's what's going to be weird for a lot of people to get over is you're buying into the community. You're not actually buying the land itself. You're buying into the community. You're buying into the opportunity to be a part of the community, and that's how you've got to look at it. Is it's about the we, not the me. You know what I mean? But yeah, I was thinking. So say you got 10 people that show up, or 10 people that email me like, "Hey, I've got $2,000. I'm ready to do this. I'm down." That's so you've got $20,000 to start with. If you figure in, if you want to do the minimum, no matter what, the land and the well, and just start from there. Say that's the minimum that you possibly do. Guaranteed water, guaranteed space, and you just start from there. You figure I paid $8,000 for my well. That leaves roughly $12,000 left to buy a piece of land. So you go from that kind of range there. So if you had the same concept where 10 people like, hey, I've got $5,000, or if it's split, then it's the same kind of concept. You figure out the rough estimate of what it's going to be for a well, and then you look into how much land you've got. If it's a bigger amount of people, then obviously you've got to take in all these different things in account. But it literally all comes down to how many people show up and say, yeah, I'm down, let's do this, and then you go from there. See, and that's another thing too. Carries this is 1 to 2 acres if possible. See, I completely understand that, but you got to figure, you're buying into the village, so you don't really need the big land, especially if you set it up right to where you've got the land left over that hasn't been touched. Then you can have it set up to where you know this is your designated yard, and then you've got all this wild separating you from everything else. So it's hard to explain. It's one of those things. It's like I can show you better than I can tell you, but it's a visual thing. It's a concept that people are going to have to figure out on their own. Like I said, a quarter-acre lot is 104 foot by 104 foot square. Y'all get bored, go outside and look, like, okay, this is my yard. What can I do with that? And then you can figure out tiny houses. Like we got set up. Me and the wife are in the big shed now, and the boy is in a little shed off to the side. And you know, everything else is just pretty much luxury. You know, as far as the yard goes. Because if you've got, like I said, if you've got the community garden, like everybody gets their cut of the garden, everybody can have their own little spot in the garden. You can still grow in your yard. Like I said, look up. I'll put the description for that or that guy's name in the comments afterwards on a half acre, quarter acre. This, but just the size alone for just the house, you know, like I said it's 11,000 square foot. Joe Morgan, exactly. Zane, what's going on? What you talking about, people? All right, I seen a couple questions. Well, see, Todd Hendricks, that would be the thing. Is the investors would be the members. So there's no one person will profit from anything that property does. Everything will go back. Everything that gets spent will be voted on, and community knowledge and open for audit, all that shit, to where it all goes back toward the property or a something that improves the situation of the property or the club itself. Nobody's getting paid from it, so investors would technically just be buying your spot. Pretty much the investors would be the people who buy the spot, unless somebody just popped up with $1 million and was like, here, let's do something. But I don't see that happening. Edible acres, right on. See, that's the thing, is the investors would have they would have nothing to gain or nothing to lose in the prospect of doing it, because you're buying that land to begin with, so half acres, double football field. No, I believe a football field is right around an acre. So I don't know. I gotta check. I go squirrel. Reaper, what's going on? But I know a quarter acre is 11,000, well, 10,800 and some square foot, and it is 104 foot by 104 foot square. That's how big a quarter acre is. So if you look at a half acre, you're looking at 210 foot by 210 foot square. It's what, 20 some thousand square foot. We'll see. Shift. That's what I'm saying. If it was set up in a club type situation, then no one person would have rabbit right on. Yeah, no one person would have control over anything to begin with. That way, nobody owns the land. That way, there'll never be a dispute over it. That's literally how I've been a part of a few of those transactions to where it's been like that, to where basically, if you want to start a Zane, I think it would be, I think an LLC would do it. Yeah. it'd have to be. That's why I say roughly, probably 5 people would be the on an LSE would do it. Well, I think it's. See, I don't know the technical terms for all that stuff, but I know the way an actual club. What's that? A little over anchor size. An LLC won't cover it. That would only work if you're making actual profits and stuff, right? But either way, the way the club system set up is the same with if you're like a motorcycle club. The way it's set up, no one person owns the building, even if it was one person who initially bought the building. Uh, it's put into I don't know if it's trust. I don't know the wording. Zane, you'll help me out. Yeah, you pretty much make it a 501c, a charitable organization, and then it belongs to the thingy. See, that's some of the fine tuning that would have to get in there and be looked at. Like each state would definitely be different. Yeah, it'd be a nonprofit. Yeah, it would have to be set up in some kind of way. That way, right? Yeah, Zane's our legal eagle. I went squirrel again. You can operate an LSE at a loss. That's why I don't know like I didn't do the paperwork and shit on it, but basically the club structure is the club itself owns the property and everything in it, and it's set up as a social club type of situation. You said there's a minimum amount of charity and a membership fee and dues are what is it's pretty much the 3 things that are required to make you a club. You said your initial payment, if everybody splits the property tax, and then you throw a barbecue for some vets at the VA, or do a Toys for Tots run, donate to St. Jude's, all these different kinds of things qualifies you. So it seems like a lot are getting hung up on the investment and what's going to happen to the physical cash. See, it would have to be something like all the money would have to be collected into I don't know if it would be a joint account between, the club itself would probably have to have some kind of account. That way, everything can still be public record. One of those kind of things. Say, if you die, can you will your spot to your kids? Technically, no, but the loophole in that would be, say you die and you want to leave it to your kid, you can. I don't know if there be. You can kind of grandfather in their membership at like a discounted rate or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, so say everybody pays 5,000. Okay, you die and want to leave it to your kid. But like, okay, your kid still has to abide by the exact same rules, but they've got to throw in, like $1,000 just to satisfy the legal side of it. But keep going like that. Like as long as you pretty much let the club know, like, hey, this spot's going to be taken after I'm gone. my son wants to move in here, then we already know the adjustment. You know, one of those kind of things that have to be set up like that, to where it's like no person would technically own the land. You're basically paying rent for the rest of your life, is what it is. That 5,000, if it's 5,000, that would be literally paying lot rent for the rest of your life. That land is not yours. You know, you can't sell it, you can't give it to anybody. You know, one of those kind of things. And you know, you know what I mean. It's not your private property. It belongs to the club. But in the bylaw, is guaranteed to you as long as you're in good standing with the club until your death. You know, one of those kind of things. If that made any kind of sense at all. Members agreement set up as the club. We would own the land and the buildings. Yeah, all the land would basically be designated to the fund. You know, you start with a list of the things that need to be done first. Obviously, it would be the land itself. Take that out, and then you would immediately, no matter what, first thing you do, you know, after you survey, but the first thing you spend money on is you get that water supply in there. Boom. That way, you're guaranteed your water, you're guaranteed your spot, and then from there you can start working on, you know, bringing in gravel and getting the roads done, clearing pastures, buying fence, you know, all these different things. Obviously, the shower house and the you know, like the community building, one of those kind of things. That way, it's, you know what I mean. You start with the fundamentals first, the guaranteed, like this is what we need no matter what, and we can work from everything else from this point. One of those kind of things. What if your kid has been growing up there? See, that's where it's going to have to come down to the. Each place would be different, but that's something that would have to be fine-tuned, because there's going to be little loopholes and stuff like that in there. But it still might be something as simple, you know, as, like I said, $1,000. It could be $100. It could be, you know, the amount of time that kid's been living there. Like if you've constantly nonstop had somebody living there, you know, one of those kind, you know, it'd have to be fine-tuned, but it wouldn't be that complicated to do. Reaper, as far as the club is concerned, there would pretty much be no building code. Like if somebody wanted to dig an underground house on their little spot and do that, that's doable, because that can be filled in. But for the most part, it has to be something that can easily be torn down or taken with you if by some chance you do get kicked off the property. One of those kind of things. So it's in my state, no. Like where I'm at, like the land that I'm on now has zero restrictions, zero zoning. I can literally do anything I want here, and a lot of Missouri is like that. Get it, what's going on? TT1, yeah. The people would have to elect a police force of some type. Yeah, you could be a literal sheriff situation. You know, to where it's like you have I don't know, at least one deputy or something per so many people, something like that. So say you got 100 families. Say you do one sheriff and one deputy. Sheriff no matter what, but then you do one deputy for every 10 people, 10 families or something like that, somewhere along those lines. But it's, you know, just you know, you know what I'm saying. I'm not a fan of police or any kind of police action, but you know, there's got to be some kind of Allen, yep. Yeah, you take responsibility if you're living in your house. You build a house and it falls in on you, well, that's on you. Revenue, exactly. Yeah, see, that's the kind of thinking right there that's what I'm trying to get out of people. With a shower house, you could do gray water collection setup and run through a biofield to clean it up for the garden. Then any extra could be run into use for watering the toilet. See, that's the shit right there. Yeah, TT1, like literally for good 4 or 5 years straight. Whenever I rode in the truck with my brother, we were basically mapping out an entire Waco situation, you know, without all the Jesus kind of stuff, to where if we had to get our cousins and our grandparents and all that shit together, how would we set it up and how would everything work, all the way down to the you know, the plumbing and like literally every single aspect, water fountains. Joe Morgan, as long as she ain't married, I think you're good. Yeah, shoes would be 100% illegal. You can't even bring those things in here. Yeah, those earth ships, that'd be freaking awesome. Uh, hold on, let me see. Let me see. Ghost, what's going on with you? Uh, Allen, shit, I'm trying, man. Abby, what's going on? Cause see, that's another thing I was thinking. Like I said, like what Rabbit said up there, that's the kind of shit that I geek out on. Is like all the little multi projects you can do off of one thing. So say if you had like a community center or like community building in the middle, you know, and then you could literally have cannon parties and harvest parties at the end of each year, you know, all kinds of good stuff. Yeah, Allen, exactly. Yeah, that's something that I've been looking into for a while. If you had a stream of water turbine, you generate electricity that way. Some kind of water wheel would be fucking awesome. Hoot owl, exactly. I see, like, and some of the things too, like the way different ideas, if different people can bring different ideas and implement that shit. So, like, what I'm thinking about doing for the laterals off of my septic tank here is where they're going to run is going to run into the wild on some, but where the laterals themselves are, I'm going to do basically just like a wildflower field. That way, when I get my bees in here, got a whole field for them to do their thing on, and it doesn't obstruct anything. It gives me something nice to look at, and it, you know, it helps the homestead. We're at an hour 35. Anybody else got any other questions or any other ideas or comments they want to throw out there while my brain's still working? I'm busting out the grinder. talking away. Reed bed water filtration. Yep. See, Shift, that's what I was thinking too. If you could dig a pond out. Yep. See, look, y'all throwing out all kinds of good ideas. S. Moore. Jump in a boat, man. Come across the Great Lakes, somebody will pick you up. There's probably some Canadian smugglers in this chat. Zane, okay, I got you. TT1, yep, that's what the hierarchy would be. Yeah, that's why there'd be at least 5 people in a council. Well, happy early birthday, Zane. It is weird how it's easier to get across from Mexico than it is to get across from Canada. G-Mal Merkel, exactly. It's a hillbilly HOA. Raised bluegill in an 18-foot swimming pool. Hell yeah. See, there's so many different things. It could literally work. Hoot owl, it depends. I'll give you my word. If this goes forward in any kind of way, there will be at least one female on my council. So I can check that box. Be Charming, what's going on? Right, 101's mother-in-law. G-Mal Merkel, that's see, that's why in a situation like that, like if, like I said, it doesn't have to be me, blah blah blah, y'all already know the thing. It can be literally any one of you. Like in my situation, 50 Shades of Joe, I would not read that book. If it was me and I had my council people in, the council that I would choose, or that I, would basically be, they would be the people to get out there. Like, at least for myself, I'd get out there and do that shit as long as my body would allow me to, just because I like doing it and I want to see the progression of it. So a lot of it would be a voluntary basis. If it comes down to it, to where a lot of people don't want to do shit, then a big chunk of that money is going to have to get spent on, hiring people and doing all that other shit to actually get it done. So that's, like I said, committing to a community like this, you're going to have to be like-minded and ready to go anyway. Just from these, you can pretty much already kind of expect the type of environment that you're going to be walking into. So you've got to appreciate the fact that everybody's already on board with that type of situation. So I know it's a possibility. A lot of people keep saying, there's going to be people, this other shit. True, that's going to be there. It's, no matter where you go, it's going to be that high school drama bullshit. But just to invest in something like this, you pretty much already know from the gate these are the lines, you know, and that's just the way it has to be. Be charming, right? See, that's what's great about it. Is like literally, if you've got the people that live there full time, and say you've got somebody who's, you know, literally can't do shit, put them in a guard shack up by the front gate to literally keep track of visitors. Like, hey, go sit up there 5 or 6 hours.
He's shaming people for not being vaccinated right now.
Who?
President.
I guess Joe Biden's on TV shaming the unvaccinated. G-Ma Merkel, I hear you. But see, it's one of those things to where, in a situation like that, as long as like I said, each place would be different, but as long as you've got one or two people doing something, you're still progressing. Worst case scenario, somebody goes in on something like this, they've got their spot and they've got their water, and they've just got a big spot of open land. Okay, that's fine. Y'all, you know what I'm saying? It's, you know what I mean? You're only going to get I got more faith in people, I think, when it comes to something like that. Bullfrog, yeah, see, exactly. That's kind of where I was going. I was talking about that a while ago. Could someone buy a spot for a bug out location, secondary residence, not a full-time home? Exactly. See, that's what I'm figuring. Roughly half of the people who invest in something like this, that's probably what they would be. You know, people who only want to come down, you know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks a year, and then go back to their regular lives for the rest of the year, however that works, you know. So that would, you know, it's always an option. Like I say, you're buying into the club lifestyle. So let's see if anything I missed. Guinea pigs. I think Pilgrim was talking about trying guinea pig. Homestead Austin here? I didn't see your name. What's going on, y'all? Yeah, weather would be a huge thing. That's why it's kind of like if you did the community of a bunkhouse type situation. That way, cause see, not everybody, like say it was me invested in something like this, I wouldn't clear the land, you know, on my quarter-acre spot. I wouldn't clear the land. I'd probably get me a tiny house, like a small cabin, and just tuck it back in the woods. Be good. I'd build me a little offshoot, like a solar shower kind of thing. That way, in the summertime, I got the backup shower, you know, somewhere along those lines. But as long as I've got the community shower and the community bathroom, I don't need all that stuff. And if you figure over the winter time, everybody could have a wood burning stove, then we could have our own. You know, the trees that we cut, you could split the firewood up and literally deliver it to the people who are there. Like, hey, boom, here's, you know, 2 weeks or a month worth of firewood. You know, we'll be back when you run out. You know, one of those kind of things. Or you could just have a full blown in the community building. You could have the bunkhouse situation to those people who aren't set up for the extremes of the weather, whether it be too hot or too cold. You know, that way it's you've got a place to sleep if you want to. That way, if you literally only want to live in a tent or a yurt, you know, for 7, 8 months out of the year, you know, you've got house or something like that, something along those lines. Yeah, I hear you, D-Law Merkel. That's why you got the money in hand. Ghost, we're gonna have a black cherry Kool-Aid. Yeah, you figure as long as you got water, you're pretty much at a good start. So we're gonna be living on top of each other in a quarter-acre scenario. To some extent, yeah, but like I said, it's in a community that big, you're buying into the yard size of a small town, you know, or a city anyway. Especially if if you've lived in an apartment your whole life, that's you know, it's a fucking football field to you. You know, it's all about perspective. You know what I'm saying? That's why say it wouldn't be. That's what I'm saying. Go smaller, go bigger, work it out. You know, with other people. But something this big, it would have to be a situation like that. That way you have enough room for everything. Like I said, that would be for the city. You know, the people that are. A lot of city people want to bug out, but they don't want to be. They still got to have that social shit. You know what I'm saying? They still got to be around people and do all that other stuff. But like I said, if you don't look at it as a grid, it's like, okay, there's 50 spots, 25 on this side, 25 on this line, just lined up, boom, 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 boom. Don't think of it that way. Think things can be. They don't have. It doesn't have to be a neighborhood. You figure roughly half of it could be, you know, a neighborhood type situation, and then the other half can literally be spread out throughout the property. You know what I mean? It's like you'll be able to see people, but you won't be able to, you know, you won't be right up on top of everybody. Bullfrog, my well, I think it was that Bullfrog that said that. Yeah, my well was $8,000. That's for the hole and the pump and all that shit, and it's 360 feet deep. That's more, right? That's when you kick them out the nest. But see, you've also got to think though, if you get to a community that's actually this size, to where it's doing that and making profit, you know, if you got 100 fucking families living on one spot, right? Teach the birth control class. Yeah. If you take some of that money, your profit money, you can buy more land and expand to where, okay, say we're living on this 200 acres here, but we need you know, we need more room for people. Then you buy another 50 or 40 acres or however much you can get, and then you start making those, you know, bigger lots or more residential places. But it's still, you keep your main food supply on this one, and you just keep buying land, especially around, if you start looking at a lot of these places, they'll usually already have them split up to where there's 4 or 5 lots touching, but they're just being sold separately. So if you buy a giant chunk of land, you could potentially buy the land that's touching it right next door, or, you know, on either side, and just keep expanding. So sky's the limit, y'all. Sky is the limit. Even if, say, you started this community here, but you got some interest for some people over in a different state or different area, you could literally buy land under the club's name in a different state and start a whole new community, and then do it that way, and just keep building as you go. You know what I mean? Yeah, like I said though, this is a something like this, you know, fucking 100 families, that would be some serious stuff that would take a lot of involvement from a lot of people. You know, that's just to get your brains working. Now everybody scale it down to 5 families, to 10 families, to 20 families, 30 families, and start, you know, the people that you fuck with in the chat, you know, other creators, anybody, and just start brainstorming this shit and figure out what you can do in your area, you know. Like I said, me and a couple other creators are throwing around some ideas to where, you know, we're playing with it a little bit. We might do something like this on a smaller scale, and it's, you know, we've also talked about actually doing it on a bigger scale like this, you know, to where, you know, 20, 30, 50 families, somewhere in that range. So things are being tweaked, and, you know, so it's a possibility. Like I said, you guys go out and start your own things, or let people know, and maybe this could turn into something, you know, from a different creator, from whoever. Let's just make something happen, damn it. All federal employees, you have to take the shot, yeah. I don't even want to know what Zane and Joe are talking about. Zane, yeah, there you go. Makes sense. Well, we're almost 2 hours, y'all. I'm gonna kill it here in a minute. I gotta go get some papers. And my screen's going blank on me. Y'all stop chatting. So that's pretty much that in a nutshell, guys. That's just some more things to ponder over. Like I said, that's grand scheme. Everything can be scaled down, all that good shit. So I'm getting some. Did I freeze up again? Am I back?